Hey, good evening. This is Casey Robinson. I'm Director of Admissions here at Camden Military Academy. I want to thank you for joining us tonight, Conversations with Camden. And tonight we're going to talk about back to school. These guys have been out all summer, and our football players actually registered this coming Sunday, and then we have the rest of the Cadet Corps coming in the following weekend. So getting ready to get really busy here. To get things started tonight, I want to introduce the guest that's going to be joining us. They're kind of spread out throughout the Carolinas. That was kind of an accident. We do have kids from outside of the Carolinas, and I'll talk about that more in a bit. But let's get started with the introductions with Justin. Justin, just tell us your name, where you're from, and what grade you're
in. My name is Justin Wilson. I'm from Matthews, North Carolina, and I'm in 12th grade.
All right. How about Hayes?
My name is Aiden Hayes. I'm from Fort Mill, South Carolina, and I'm a senior.
And Barry.
My name is Lucas Barry. I'm from Mint Hill, North Carolina, and I'm in 11th grade.
All right. Thank you, guys. And I do want to point out, if you see these guys, they have a little longer hair than usual. This is the summer, so they're able to grow it out. We won't take it all when they return, but we will be taking a good bit of it. But they'll tell you more about that probably later on in the broadcast. But this is a chance, an opportunity for you tonight, the viewers, to ask us questions. We want this to be interactive. So if you have any questions about anything, about the first few days, what to bring, what not to bring, anything that you can possibly think of, use the hashtag CMA Future, and we will get as many of those out as possible. CMA Future, hashtag CMA Future, and we will get to those questions. Okay, I want to get things started tonight. Tell me, Justin, whose idea was it for you to come to Camden, and were you nervous your first year? I know you've been here a while. I think you've been here since 7th grade, but were you nervous coming in, and how did you deal with that nervousness?
Actually, it was like mixed between me and my parents. My parents kind of brought it up, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll try it. But then I was kind of nervous coming in because I didn't know anybody, obviously. But then I kind of dealt with it by just making friends. It's not really hard to make friends because everybody's pretty friendly around here. And yeah.
Okay. And Hayes, what would you say your biggest worry or concern was when you were about to move on campus, and then maybe it just didn't ever happen, or it was a myth that you thought about?
I think my biggest fear was I was the smallest kid, so I was afraid that I wasn't going to have many friends and I was just kind of going to be by myself. But once I got there, I really got interactive with the school and met a lot of new people.
And Barry, kind of the same question for you. Tell me a little bit about, when you heard Camden Military. I'm sure everyone gets a little nervous, but what did you anticipate or worry about prior to arriving?
Basically, what I was worried about being far away from home and not being away from all of my friends. But once I started getting comfortable at Camden Military, all those friends just started coming to me, basically. And I just started making tons of friends, started laughing more, started having fun at a school that I thought I wouldn't have fun at.
Okay, good answers, guys. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the first day. All right, so let's start with Justin again. When you arrive, kind of what can guys expect to do that first couple of days?
Well, the first couple of days are pretty hectic. The first day you get there, you go through registration, which is not really a long process, but then you get your schedule, and then you head to the gym and you get all your uniforms, which is pretty much basic, but you'll get them later in the year. And the first couple of days, it's pretty hard. You got we get through something called certification. It's pretty much teaching all the new kids that come in what to do and what not to do, and that's what you can expect.
Yeah. And by the way, I forgot to mention this earlier, Justin Wilson is actually going to be our battalion commander this year, which is the highest ranking cadet on campus. So congratulations to you on that. So, all right, and I want to ask Hayes, we give you a required packing list of things to bring and not to bring, but what's something maybe that we didn't put on that list that you would recommend to guys that they bring with them?
One thing that I brought, and it helped me a lot to deal with homesickness, was I brought a bulletin board and I brought some photos of my family, and I just hung that up in my room, and it kind of brought home with me to the school. Also bring extra white socks, black socks, and white t-shirts because you are going to need them.
There you go. Good practical advice. And Barry, talk to me a little about being homesick. Did you experience any homesickness, and how did you deal with that?
I experienced a little homesickness at first. Really, it's really just like I was getting used to the showers, really, because I was so used to my own shower, and just showering with other people. I wasn't really used to that. But then I really just got used to it by talking to my mom about it and stuff like that, and venting to my mom, and she helped me out a lot with that the first coming days.
Gotcha. And just to clarify, he did say showering with everybody. You do have shower stalls. Okay, so I want to make sure guys know that it's not the big group open showers. Now, you guys don't actually arrive by plane, correct? All y'all drive down because you're pretty local. But I have a question coming in from Twitter. It says, do you have any tips for families arriving by plane? It really depends on the age of the student. We have a travel director. You'll have his direct email. You'll send the itinerary to him. And we have several drivers, and they'll be at the airport to meet you, to pick up your son if he's traveling alone, or to take him to the airport to fly out. If the family flies in together, you do have to rent a car and come on to drive to Camden. But yeah, so the tips are just make sure that the itinerary is received by Ray Brown. travel@camdenmilitary.com is the email. And once we have that, we'll take care of the rest, I promise you. All right, I want to move on and talk about some new things that we have on campus. I know some of these guys may not even know about it, but some remodeling we've done this summer. We have a new remodeled barbershop. We have a remodeled, we actually have now a press box on the football field. It's a Spartan blue and white, which is pretty nice. Our clay tennis courts are being completed now. We're going to be one of the first high schools in the state to have clay courts. And what else do we have? We also, academically, we're offering Chinese this year as a language. So that'll be nice and challenging for anyone wanting to learn Mandarin. And then we have also some new college courses available. We've always offered dual enrollment. This year, we're added a science as well as an additional college math. So a lot of new things going on. Our weight room has been remodeled as well. So these guys will be seeing some changes when they get back here on campus. Now, I want to remind everybody to submit your questions, #CMA Future, and we'll get to as many of those as possible. So feel free to keep sending those in. Now, talk to me, guys, a little bit about technology. I get that question a lot being admissions director, hey, can you bring your phone? So Justin, tell us about that. Can you have your phone?
Yeah, you can have your phone, but actually not for the first 2 weeks to get through certification. But after those first 2 weeks, you're allowed to have your phone. Just don't use it during the wrong times, obviously. You're allowed to bring your Xboxes, your PlayStations, your laptops, and that's pretty much all you need.
Mm-hmm. Hayes, can you tell me a little bit about the phone restrictions, like where you can have them, where you can't, how they get taken away?
So basically, you can have your phone whenever you're in your free time. So after school, before school, after breakfast, if you're not busy cleaning or doing anything. Most people get their phones taken because they take them to class. Just don't bring it to class. Let it charge in your room. There's no reason, because you will get it. Most people get it caught and they get it taken, and then they get unhappy and get themselves more in trouble. So just it's easier just to keep it in your room.
Yeah, I tell everyone, just bring it, let it charge all day in your room, and then when you get out of class during your free time and all that, the phones are charged up and ready to go. Barry, how about video games, things like that? People can bring TVs. We don't have cable, so they usually bring video games. But is there any other technology advice you would give to anyone coming in?
Honestly, I would suggest a hotspot, because there is no Wi-Fi in the barracks. There's Wi-Fi inside of the Carlisle house and the library, but there is no Wi-Fi inside the barracks. So if you do have a hotspot to play online gaming, I would really suggest that, but you don't have to do that.
Yeah, and we leave that up to a parent. It's a parental decision if you want them to have the internet in their barracks. So yeah, if you want them to have that 24/7 access to it, parents, you can certainly do that. Some parents also use their carriers and get the parent controls, because at 10 p.m. it lights out. There's supposed to be no one on their phones. And so it might be awful tempting for a student to get on their phone, which in turn would having it taken away if it's after 10. I do have a question from YouTube now that says, How long do parents stay at drop off on registration day? That's a good question. I'm glad somebody asked that, because every year I have parents call me and say, "Hey, Mr. Robinson, we were at registration and the TAC officer was kind of rude to me. He just told me to leave, basically, to get off campus." It's not that we're trying to be rude, and it's not that we're trying to rush you off, but the longer you stay on campus, the more homesickness is going to occur. The more tears are going to come out. It's always hard. So we'll encourage you, after that you move in, help your son move in, get his room set up, to give him a quick hug and leave. Try to hold the tears till you get in the car. I tell parents all the time, it's usually a lot harder on the parents than it is on the boys. We keep the boys pretty busy those first couple of weeks. And, but the parents, yeah, you guys, but you can always call. You can always call and check on them with us. They're able to write letters. So, I mean, there's ways to stay in touch. We don't completely cut them off from the outside world. Now, guys, I want to talk about something. We talked earlier about certification. And, the first couple of weeks, you can't have your phone. You can't leave campus. You can't have visitors. But we do have a pretty fun day planned. It's called the Spartan Challenge. And Justin, if you will, kind of tell them what the Spartan Challenge is about.
Well, the Spartan Challenge is pretty much some crazy. It's kind of like a field day, but not really. You have there's 5 companies: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Bannerstaff, and they all compete in different tournaments and different things. Like we have like basketball. We have like we make a large brick tower. You see how much weight people can push. We do this like cowboy relay where you have to change and run around the track. It's just something fun that we just get all painted up and get all lit for. So
yeah, it's a day it's basically the day before our first furlough. And I think this year it's on September 12th. So it gives the guys something to really look forward to, blow off the steam, celebrate that, they made it, that they've learned everything that they've needed to learn. We actually are revamping it this year too, guys. So I'm not going to give you any clues on some of the new events, but it's going to be really intense this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I have another question coming in from YouTube. It said, is there a swim team? We do not have a swim team this year, unfortunately. We were hoping to get involved with the local school district here. That did not work out. We're hoping to do it next year, but it's still in negotiation right now. And then we also want to know, guys, about roommates. Have talked to them a little bit, Aiden, about your initial roommate and, about roommates in general. Are you able to switch roommates throughout the year, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so me and my first roommate, we didn't really get along at the beginning. So we both came to an agreement to find like basically our close friends to room with. So we switched out, and then me and that guy, we were really good friends for the whole year. This year, Justin and I are actually going to be roommates in band and staff. We've known each other for 6 years now, and we've become really good friends. So we decided to room together.
All right. And Lucas, how about you? Did you have any roommate issues, and how often are you able to switch a roommate?
So in the beginning of the year, I didn't like my roommate either, and I got my roommate changed into a 3-man room. But if you complain too much about your roommate, you end up not going to be able to get a room change. You can change your room maybe once or twice throughout the school year, but if it keeps on getting repetitive, they're not going to let you change anymore. But if you have a roommate and you're not cool with them, just ask the TAC and he should be able to change you out.
Yeah. And he's right. So if you have that initial roommate, and we try initially to pair them up with someone they have something in common with and someone who's going to be kind of a mentor, show them the ropes. But just know that you're not stuck. If you don't like the roommate, you can certainly change. Now, we're going to probably have some differing opinions on this one, but we did have a question coming in. I want to know which company is the best on campus. So let's start out with Barry. Who would you say the best company is?
Band and staff, hands down. So I know we might not be like the best some years, but we are like, I wouldn't say the chillest company. I'd say that we're like, honestly, in my opinion. But yeah, we're closer to everything. All the other companies are like far away from like the academic building or something like that, or they're rather far away from the Carlisle house. We're close to really everything. So it's so much easier for us to walk to places than other companies would. So that's my opinion on it.
All right. How about you, Wilson?
Well, honestly, I'm like a Delta boy. Delta's like a mix between, chill at certain times, but then whenever you need to get stuff done, it's time to get stuff done. So I mean, I don't know what Barry's talking about, saying Delta is not the best, but because Delta is closer to the Carlisle House than Bannon staff, and then I mean it's a low walk to school, but it's like 5 minutes, so just leave 5 minutes early. That's simple. But
All right, Hayes, we'll allow you to weigh in as well.
Bandit staff is the best.
bro,
That's all I have to say.
I knew there would definitely be some conflicting opinions here. That's why, and we like that. We like the competition among the guys because that's one thing that most teenage guys like is competition. And so we do put these guys against each other in various ways, whether it be academically, athletically, militarily. They're always competing for a prize, and that's pretty good. We're a military school, and sometimes people think the military schools is all about the negativity and beating them down and that kind of thing. But we like to build guys up here. And, so we'll make them feel kind of good about themselves and dangle a prize out in front of them if they do well. On Facebook, it says, can I bring a laptop? Do I need one? And are they used for games or school? So let's see. Let's throw that one to Hayes. Hayes, do you need a laptop? Can you bring it? And what are they used for?
So you don't need a laptop, but you can bring one. I actually just got one for my birthday, so I'm bringing that for schoolwork. But a lot of people do have gaming laptops that they bring, and then they have like a whole setup in their room, and they play games during free time. But most people just bring like MacBooks or little small handheld computers to do schoolwork on.
Okay, all right, thanks. And then we want to say from Instagram is saying, when's the first day of class? Well, registration for football players this Sunday. New students come in the following weekend, which is the 24th, 25th. And then the first day of class will be that Monday, the 26th. So the actual first day of class is the 26th. And Justin, we like your dance moves, okay? I just want to throw it out that everybody can see you the whole time. So everyone's seeing your dance moves down there. All right, I want to get back on track here and talk about academics for a second. With the scheduling, they want to know how your schedule is chosen, or do you get to pick your own classes? So Hayes, how about talk to me about your schedule? When did you get it?
So you get your schedule on the day of registration, but if you wanted to sign up for college classes, you got an email or a paper in the mail, and you picked your college classes and you sent them back. So I'm doing 4 college classes this year. I did 4 last year. But then the other classes, the registrar and the dean of students pick the classes for you that you are required to take.
Yeah, so we're going to look at this because we do have students, from close to 40 states. And so we're going to be looking at a lot of different schedules initially. And we're going to look and see and try our best to keep that student on track to graduate from home in case he's here just for a year or two. Or if he continues here with Camden, of course, he would be working towards getting that high school diploma. So that's our main focus when you're here. We have some electives, not a whole lot. We're not going to have, home ec or underwater basket weaving or anything like that. But most of our classes are like personal finance or, we have the sociologies, so psychology. So we wanted to do something that still requires a textbook and some thought to it. And we have a question coming in. It's kind of an interesting question. I don't know the answer to it, so I'm going to throw it out to the students. It says, would you think a journal may help with situations like homesickness? Never thought about it. Don't know. I'm not a journal kind of guy. Any of you guys ever kept a journal? No? Okay.
I tried one.
No one has that answer?
At one point.
It may be too busy, actually. I mean, you're going to be exhausted at the beginning. Most guys are a little nervous when they first arrive, and then we keep them so plugged in, and, we're throwing uniforms at them. They're getting new haircuts, new clothes, new books, new classes, new friends, and so it's kind of hard. Journal might be a good idea for memory's sake, but yeah, it may help homesick. One thing I want to talk about, guys, I get this question from parents more so than students, is about the hazing and things like that. Can you tell them, please, Justin, about what happens? What protocol do we have in place, and what the TAC officers do to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen in the barracks?
Well, honestly, I've never, my whole years at Camden Military Academy, I've never really experienced hazing. But if it does happen, when people see it, they're gonna tell the TAC officers, I'm sorry, and they'll handle it. And most of the time, if it's repeatedly, they'll either get kicked out of school or just get paid. So,
Yeah, we've been fortunate. We don't have a lot of hazing, a lot of initiation, anything like that. We don't have a second class system, so all the cadets are treated the same. You know, if you're a senior, you've been here 5 years, or you've been here 2 days, everyone's allowed to walk on the grass. They're allowed to walk on the sidewalks. There's no plebe, knobby, or anything like that that are associated with some military schools. And some things that we do, we have what we call body checks at the beginning of the school year, where we kind of make sure that there's no bruising that guys aren't telling us about going on. We have students write out a personal, I guess, checklist of things. You know, how's the school year going? Are they making friends? Are they getting picked on? That type thing. So we closely monitor that type thing, and we take it very seriously. Our headmaster, actually, Colonel Boland, is a bullying expert. He gets invited all around the country to speak. So that's something that we've been very fortunate with here at Camden. You know, I'm not gonna tell you bullying doesn't happen, because it happens everywhere. But we're not going to let it become a habit or make it any severe here. So got questions pouring in, guys, and I like this. I like it being interactive, so continue to send them in, hashtag CMA Future. Someone said they didn't see an alarm clock listed on the packing list. Do you need one? Lucas, what would you tell them? All right, so definitely bring one.
You would need an alarm clock if you're planning on waking up early in the morning to maybe go work out or some sort, if you have permission from your TAC officer. But usually, no, you don't. There's going to be kids yelling at 6 o'clock every morning for you to wake up and to get out into the hallway. So no, you are not going to need an alarm clock.
Yeah. I live here on campus, and sometimes I can hear our older fire alarms, not the current fire alarms, but the older fire alarms, horns going off in different buildings. And I know it's definitely time to get up. Now, one question we have coming in as well is how many kids stay back on furlough weekends? I guess I'm the best one to answer that one. When we have a furlough weekend, like that very first one coming up, that third weekend, we'll probably have maybe about half of the students staying back on campus, 150 or so. The others will be going home. The ones who go home are the ones who are regionally located, in the Southeast primarily. But the guys who are from outside the Southeast, you can certainly make friends and go home on furloughs with your friends. So you don't necessarily have to fly back to California or to Nebraska or wherever for the breaks. Now the breaks and the furloughs are two totally different things, so I'll make sure that's clear as well. Whenever our school calendar says break, which would be Thanksgiving, Christmas, we have a fall optional furlough, and then we have a winter furlough. But for the Christmas, spring, and Thanksgiving breaks, you have to depart campus. We want a break as well, so we're going to send everybody home. But otherwise, you're welcome to stay back on campus on a regular furlough weekend. We have everything, running operational here on campus. And we usually have some type of fun activities planned, whether it's paintball, movie trips, ball games, things like that. So we'll keep them pretty busy, because the busier guys stay, the less trouble they find themselves in later. I want to talk about beyond, I guess, classes. I want to talk about sports for a second. All right. So we have 13 different sports here. And my biggest piece of advice to all the students that are watching, prospective students watching, is to get involved. Get involved in sports. Stay plugged into the school. You don't want to come in and just, hide in your room all the time or play video games all the time. The more you're plugged in, the better. But Justin, I know you play a couple of sports. So tell us what you play, and do you think sports is important here at Camden?
Well, I play football and I run track and I lift weights, but I definitely think that getting involved in sports, number one, gets you to have more friends, and it also gives you something to do whenever most people are just sitting in their rooms doing whatever they want. You have a team that you have to be with. You have pretty much a purpose. So. Yeah.
And then I'll have another question coming in. It says, do all linens and clothes need to be marked with your laundry number prior to arriving? I like that question. That means whoever asked that question has been accepted, because they know what a laundry number is. So a laundry number basically is a 3-digit number that you would write on your laundry or your clothes that you bring in linens. So when it's sent out to our laundry service, you receive it back in your barrack. So we're not going to call you Cadet 741, but that could be your laundry number. But you're going to be Cadet Hayes, Cadet Wilson, Cadet Barry. All right. So don't send us a care package with the laundry number on it. or anything like that, because we'll just have to go look it up and try to figure out whose it is. But yes, please mark them before you get here if you can. Some moms and dads like to kind of wait till they get here because it drags out the process, helping them stay around and mark their clothes. TAC officers will encourage you to leave and let the boys mark it themselves. So it's just gonna be more work for him later. But yeah, we prefer you mark them before you arrive. I also want to mention briefly about payment, enrollment forms, and the registration process. You'll be receiving emails from me from now until registration, probably more frequently than you would like, just to offering tips and reminders about things and days and times and that type of thing. But please, if you can scan any enrollment forms, fax them to us, email them to us. We need those before you get here. It makes the registration process a lot smoother. And we'll be very busy on Saturday because all of our new students come in. But then on that Sunday, the returning students come in. Now they have a short period of time to come in, but we usually get really backed up because they know the drill. I think they can kind of drag their feet. So Barry, Wilson, Hayes, check with your parents. Make sure they've got your forms turned in before you arrive so that we don't have to stay here all afternoon on Sunday waiting for you guys. All right. What kind of civilian clothes do you need and how much do you suggest we bring? So I'm going to throw that one out to Hayes.
So you don't need many civilian clothes, just like some extra shorts, some t-shirts, in the wintertime, pants. So if you do go off campus for a trip or a movie or anything, you can have those to wear. But most of the trips you go off campus in your travel uniform. But if not, you'll be wearing civilians. And then during free time, you can wear civilians. So I would say maybe like 5 pairs of clothes for civilian wear during the day.
Yeah. And, I get asked that a lot about, can you wear gym shorts and t-shirts? Yeah. But just, we want you to use some taste. We don't want anything with vulgar writing. We don't want anything. When you leave campus, you can't leave in a muscle shirt, for example. We're going to have you looking nice in a CMA t-shirt or something like that. When we do leave campus, we will allow you to wear civilian clothes. So, you're not always in uniform when you're off campus, which is pretty nice. Let's see, we have a question coming in about tennis. Can you still play tennis in the fall, even though it's not in season? Absolutely. The tennis courts, all the athletic facilities are open year round. So yeah, if it's not the season for that sport, you're out there. Now, exception would be basketball. We have one gym right now. So that's our next big project, is to build a new gym. But if it's basketball season, it's going to be closed off to the general students because they're practicing basketball. But the other times, it would definitely be open. Electives for middle schoolers in 8th grade. Excellent question. I wish our academic department was represented tonight. For most of our 7th and 8th graders, though, it's going to be your straight standards required by the state. So you're going to be doing your English, math, science, history, PE, and that's pretty much your daily schedule. And just most of you know if you're already enrolled, but we do operate on a traditional schedule. And that means that you're taking 6 classes a day, and those classes last 40 minutes each. And so that's, keeps a pretty tight schedule for us. And so we don't have time in that schedule to have a whole lot of electives going on. How can parents get spirit wear is the question from Facebook. And how do you get spirit wear? Okay, we have some things here on campus. So when you come to registration, we'll have some of that for sale. But I'll tell you personally, there's a couple of websites that offer them out there. They got some really good looking stuff. Max Sports, I think it is, or Max Prep, I think. You can go there and get hoodies and pullovers, all kind of really cool things. We're a military school, so the things that we offer are pretty, standard. But if you want some cool stuff, I would definitely recommend checking that out. And you could get some cool wear to wear to our different games and activities. Another question coming in: can I play football as an 8th grader? You absolutely can, because it's mandatory. All of our middle school students play football, and Justin, you actually, lived through that, I guess, coming in as a 7th grader. So tell us, how does the middle school football program work?
Well, actually, I wasn't here for the football program because I came in the 2nd semester of Camden, and then I skipped 8th grade, so I didn't really get a chance to experience that.
Well, Aiden, how about you? Did you start in 9th?
So I came in 7th grade. So the football program, it's junior high. You're going to be playing junior high teams. You're not actually required to play football, but if you want to play football, you can. Otherwise, you'll be out on the football field doing other stuff like exercising or whatever during PE. But the junior high football team practices during PE. So when PE is over, that means the practice is over. So all those cadets will go back to their barracks after that, regardless of its practice or PE.
Yeah, great. And that's something about Camden too, as far as sports goes. We require that you do something, but you don't necessarily have to play a sport representing the school. I would encourage you to do that because you get off campus more, you get to travel. But if you do not play representing the school, you'll have intramural sports, or as Aiden mentioned, you may be doing something else, but you're still going to be out and exercising. You don't just get to go to your room and shut the door. Someone wants to talk about discipline. Yikes. All right. This is a tough one to talk about. But one thing I want to point out to parents and students is that we don't have any corporal punishment. So we're not going to beat you. We're not going to restrict food and water. We're not going to put you in a small closet in the dark. But I'm going to let Barry talk about merits and demerits briefly.
So merits and demerits. Demerits, really, if you get a demerit, it's because you're doing bad in school, or if you get a write-up during class or anything like that. Demerits mean that you aren't allowed to go home for a certain for a certain period of time, and then merits allows you to go on furlough, so you can get a furlough out of merits. But demerits, you can't go home or do anything, and it just looks bad on your record.
Yeah. So the more merits you have, the more positive, basically positive points. So you have more privileges and opportunities. So, those are the type of things. That's one of the things that goes into being able to move up in rank. While you're here, different leadership positions, things like that. Now, guys, raise your hand if you've been on the pad before. All right, I knew at least one. All right. So, Hayes, how about tell us about what is the pad and what do you do out there?
So the PAD stands for Punishment and Discipline. It is a big rectangular parade field, and you go out there after school from 3:30 to 5:30 or 6, and you march around that rectangle with a rifle in your hand for 2.5 hours. It makes you think a lot. When I came in 7th grade, I was a really bad kid, to be honest. I had no respect for anybody. And just being out there really showed me like, wow, this sucks and I don't want to be out here, and I'd rather be playing a sport or, hanging out with my friends at the Carlisle house or doing anything other than this. So it really makes you think. I still didn't learn my lesson until 9th grade. But after that, I've stayed pretty good until now.
Yeah. So, one tour is 30 minutes of marching. So if you get assigned, 20 tours, you're going to be marching for 10 hours. We don't make you do it consecutively, but we'll take away your free time. And, basically whenever you're not in class or have other obligations, you're going to be marching the tours out there. Quick question. This must be from a parent. It says, how do we mark the socks? Basically, we encourage you to use a silver or gold, I can't think of the name of the pen, but the permanent markers. Write those with the silver or gold, and that usually gets it back out to the student. It can be on the inside or the outside of the toe, either one will work. And then how many people can you bring home on furlough? That's a good question. I don't know. I would say, it's really up to individuals that are here. One thing I will tell parents about that is, if you call the school, if your son calls you and says he would like to bring home some guys for furlough, call the TAC officer and check and see if this is a good idea. The TAC officers know all the boys. They're going to know if Aiden's a good guy, Justin's a good guy, Barry's a good guy, but you put all three of them together and they're going to, raise a ruckus. We don't want to send that home to you. So if the TAC officer says this isn't a good idea, listen to that TAC. And we don't mind being the bad guy. So we'll tell your son, no, you can't go home together. So you don't have to be the bad guy. We'll take the brunt of that for you. All right, guys, we talked about discipline. We'll talk about homework now, because that's everyone's favorite subject, right? That's the reason most guys come to Camden, actually, is because they didn't do their homework prior to coming, hurt their grades, that type thing. But how about Barry? Tell us about what a typical study hall is like.
So a typical study hall is from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. And basically study hall, you're not allowed on your phone. You're allowed on your computer if you get permission from a teacher, or if you can go to the library as well if you get a permission from a teacher as well. You have to have a library slip. But basically, all study hall, you're rather studying or doing your homework. If you're not doing your homework or anything, then you're reading a book. If you get caught on your phone, you get your phone taken. If you get caught on your electronics, whenever you're not allowed to be using them, of course, you're going to get them taken. But yeah, that's really what a normal study hall is like.
Yeah. So, you know, we're going to monitor, we're going to make sure that they're completing the homework, maybe not making sure that it's all correct, but we're going to make sure that the homework gets completed. How about, can my family visit on the 23rd? I'm not really sure if that means, I think that's Friday prior to the enrollment. That's the day that the cadre enrolls. So that's the day that these guys will probably be showing up. So unless they're showing up for football. But on the 23rd, we can do a visit that day. It wouldn't be the optimal day. I would say if you can, come on the Thursday, the 22nd. But if you just send us an email to admissions@camdenmilitary.com or give us a call at the office, 803-432-6001, we can talk to you more about, you know, visiting them. About visitors in general, we had that question a few minutes ago, and I don't think I got to that one. You can have visitors here at Camden. So we have an open campus. Now, students cannot leave, or cadets cannot leave with other students. They have to leave with an approved list that the parents provide us. So parents, you get to tell us who can come. You know, but as far as football games and baseball games, and, you know, our sports, visitors are allowed to come. We encourage the community, the Camden community, to come out and watch. We have some of our guys that actually find the Camden girlfriends while they're here. So, you know, those girls may visit, they can go to the Carlisle house, but they can't find their way into the barracks or anything like that. The guys can't get into the cars with them, you know, those type things. So, all right, I want to talk too a little bit about the relationship with teachers and faculty and staff. Can you describe that to me, Justin? What's different maybe about the teachers and coaches you have here compared to public school?
I mean, personally, the difference is you're around them a whole lot more. Like, I mean, they go home, but you see them like around campus all the time. And personally, me and Casey are pretty cool with each other. I help them out a lot, and yeah.
Yeah. Pace, how about you?
So a lot of my teachers, I've known them since 7th grade, and I've gotten a really close relationship with them. And also one thing is, in our classes, the class sizes are extremely small. So the teachers get a really good one-on-one with the students. The teacher will basically go off the lowest common denominator in the class. So if one person's not understanding the material, usually the teacher will stop and help that student understand the material before they move on. And also, I know Casey really well. I've known him for like 6 years now, and I'm also working with him this year as my position at the school.
Yeah, so he's going to be the recruiting officer. So he'll be assisting me if you come to visit. If you come to some of our open houses on the road, something like that, you may bump into Cadet Hayes. I have another question coming in. It says, what days can I visit? I'm thinking I'm going to answer this two ways. If you want to know what days you can visit to take a tour of the campus, that would be Monday through Friday. We do have one Saturday in October set aside for an open house, but a weekend is by exception. So you'd have to check our open house schedule for that. But Monday through Friday, we can generally accommodate between 9 and 4 p.m., 9 a.m. in the morning to 4 p.m. And then how our birthday celebrated is another question that's coming in. That's really up to the parents. How do you want them to celebrate it? We've had parents before that have ordered cakes for everyone in the mess hall, and they want them to have cake and ice cream and have everyone sing happy birthday. If you want to make your cadet miserable, that's probably a good way. They'll probably crawl under the table and die of embarrassment. But, you know, a way if you want to be super mom, super dad, order he and his buddies some pizzas, you know, let them share it in the rooms, some cupcakes, some, you know, just little snacks, something like that. We do have, you know, Papa John's, Pizza Hut delivered to campus, and Domino's. So, you know, that's always an option for these guys. You know, we have teachers also that take these guys off campus. I've taken, you know, guys out to eat and different things. So we really leave it up to the parents, but just give us a call if you have any questions when your son's birthday is approaching, and we can, you know, maybe give you some better ideas. One good tip too, don't ever send flowers or balloons. Guys will not come pick those up. Kathy Sherrill, our secretary up front, has taken home dozens and dozens of flowers in the past because it's going to be hard for a teenage boy to walk back with a dozen roses from Grandma, Susie, at an all boys school. So that's one tip I would say. Make sure all the aunts and uncles get in on that as well. Another question coming in: my son would be a 12th grader. Will he be behind the curve? I guess I'll answer that one because these guys have been there for a while. But we have a number of first-year seniors every year. So I don't think you'll be behind the curve. I do tell families, though, new families, that 2 years is a good average length of stay for a student here at Camden. And that's because a lot of students have built up, a lot of bad habits academically or behaviorally. And so it's going to take a little while to fix those things, to get it back the way it should be. And it's not an overnight process. But so average length of stay is 2 years. A senior, if you need to grow up a little bit before going off to college, it's a really good idea. And then we also offer a post-grad program. So, if anyone wanted to PG, so if you need that gap year, you can take all college classes as a PG and still be here, on campus with the structure without being just, tossed into a large university somewhere. All right, good question coming in for the cadets is, how often is PT? So Barry, can you tell them what PT is and how often it is?
So PT usually, some companies have them twice a week. Some companies have them once a week. I think we have battalion PT, I think once a week, I believe. I'm here, but it's where everybody gets together on the parade field. We all do push-ups, we do jumping jacks, we do sit-ups, we do all types of PT ways. And then, that's really it. Some companies can do it outside of their own barracks. Some companies run it on the track. Some companies just march around the track as well. But that's really what all PT is.
All right. And let's flip that over to the other side, because when you're not doing PT, you're usually doing drill. So Justin, tell them kind of what drill is.
Well, the first 2 weeks you'll learn all about drill. It's all kinds of different military movements, and you pretty much just practice those military movements until they're almost perfect. And then you also have stuff that you do with your rifles, and that's consists of drill.
Yeah, and he said rifles. I do want you to know that the rifles we have are demilitarized, so we're not going to have any live ammunition flying around campus. And even our marksmanship team, things like that, they use pellets. It's not live ammo. I have a question coming about grades and also merits and demerits. How do parents stay abreast of all that? All right, moms and dads, brace yourself. We do not have power school capability or anything like that where you can micromanage and see your students' everyday marks, the teacher's remarks, because part of the boarding school experience is for him to become responsible for those things himself. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. We're going to do that worrying for you. So as far as academics, every 2 weeks, the students will get a report card handed to them, and it's going to have comments from teachers so they can kind of get their act together before the 6-week transcript grades come out. Now, it's going to be hard, especially if you're used to checking the grades every day. So you can call us, you can email, and we can send those grades to you, let you know what's going on. As far as merits and demerits, those are kept in the barracks with the TAC officers. So you'd want to just contact your son's TAC officer and say, hey, how's he doing? Is he in trouble? Is he making friends? He's your go-to person. That TAC officer is the adult there in the barracks, and he's going to be your primary point of contact for all the parents. So you'll become really good friends with both of the TACs as the year progresses. Another question coming in is, when is football registration? All right, varsity registration, that's 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. Registration is this Sunday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. All right, so from 2 to 4. Try to get here on time, guys. It's going to be a skeleton crew in for registration that day. I think we're expecting about 45 guys, so we're kind of excited. Going to have a pretty large varsity team. Our first game is Labor Day weekend, so we don't have a whole lot of time to figure out, positions and that type thing. So, we're going to have to come in, hit the ground running. We'll be doing 2-a-days, 3-a-days. And I know Justin and Aiden are really excited about that. But yeah, that'll be happening next week. And today, guys, it was only 106 outside. So, hey, got a lot to look forward to. Do we offer scholarships is a question that's come in. We do have financial aid. We have financial aid every school year. You can apply and get up to 30% off of the tuition. However, financial aid for this year has been depleted. We're going to open at capacity pretty much. We can hold a little over 300 students, and we're right now at 300. So We don't have any financial aid for this year. If you want it for the following years, you need to start applying for that in January, pretty early. So just keep that in mind for next school year. We also do not offer any financial aid for summer school. That would be just for the regular school year. Question coming in, when will we get the TAC officer's name and contact? All right, so one important thing about our TAC officers, and you'll hear guys probably complain about this a little bit and talk about it, but all the TAC officers run their companies their own way. So some TAC officers will call you before school starts and he'll introduce himself. Other TAC officers will be here the day of enrollment. So at registration day, you'll just come in, you'll go through the registration process, you'll go over to the barracks, and then you'll have time to sit with the TACs and he'll give you all this contact information. And is it better to call or email the TACs? I say call. I like calling and speaking to somebody just because you don't have to worry about losing things in translation, in an email, or you can't read a tone of an email. So just make sure that you're with that TAC and just keep that line of communication open with him, and everything should be smooth. Guys, tell me about a standard room. Somebody was asking earlier about a room. Can you describe a typical room for them? What's in your room and where do you store things? Hades, we'll go to you for that.
So in your room, you're going to have your bed. It's a bunk bed. In a 3-man room, you'll have one single bed as well. You have 2 desks in every room, press locker, so you hang all your uniforms and put your shoes in there. Every room has 2 safes, or if it's a 3-man room, it has 3 safes. You never want to share your code with anyone, not even your roommates, just because you want to keep your stuff stored and safe. Don't ever give anyone your door code. That's not smart either, because you don't want people going in your room, going through your stuff without you knowing. When you arrive, you'll get a foot locker, or you bring a foot locker. That's where you put all your military clothes and your civilian clothes. You'll split it up. Yeah. And then you can have like a storage bin for food. Just don't bring like refrigerated food. Don't bring a mini fridge or a microwave, because that will get taken, or they just won't even let you bring it in. But you can bring small perishables like chips and stuff.
Yeah, so keep some snacks in your room. Now, somebody asked a question about hair. How short does the hair have to be when they arrive? Actually, again, if you just tuned in or tuned in late, these guys, they have long hair for the summer. This is not typically how they would look throughout the school year. So if you bump into them on campus, they're probably not going to look the same as they do tonight. But and your initial haircut is going to be short. Okay, so they're gonna take most of it. I would say probably 1 guard, maybe a 2 if you're lucky. But then as the year progresses, it comes back. We allow you to have some length. Actually, if some of you talk to Marshall Shehorn, the Associate Director of Admissions, or myself, we went to bat for you guys a few years ago and got the hair length increased here. So you can have a little bit longer hair. But these guys tonight, no, you couldn't have that. But yeah, so you can have some length. But we do have a barber here on campus that will take care of all the haircuts. And if you don't trust our barber, we can take you into town. But of course, that would be an expense out of the pocket. All right, another one coming in. How are you given free time? So everyone has free time. It starts at the end of the school day, and then it lasts until 6:30. You have to get ready to go back into dinner. But Lucas, tell them what free time is. What typically takes place during free? Because that's a little misleading. Free time is not as free as it sounds, right?
In some ways. During free time, you can rather stay in your room. You can maybe run around campus. You can go to the weight room, lift some weights, go play football on the football field with some friends. Or even if you want to, you can go do a club that you're interested in, like Key Club or something like that. And sometimes on Sunday, we have activities where like you don't have to go to dinner. On Wednesdays, I think you can go to off-campus church. And which that is like you go off campus with the chaplain, because we have a chaplain on campus that that preaches for the church and stuff like that, and does a lot of things for the kids as well. But free time, it's really just limited on like what kind of position you're in. Like for example, if you're having behavioral issue, behavioral issues, then then at that point, then you're probably not going to be able to have free time like everybody else. But yeah, that's really the limitations on free time.
Yeah. And, we usually have some type of structured activity going on. You might be practicing for sports, or you might have intramurals going on, but there's going to be something there for you to do during that free time. All right, another question coming in. What kind of school supplies should I bring? Basic school supplies. Believe it or not, we still use textbooks at CMA. So, we have iPads and all that for the classroom that's passed out into classes and taken back up, so we don't issue anybody an iPad. But we use technology in the classroom, but we prefer textbooks. We teach them, how to highlight, how to study, kind of the old school way. But that tends to work best for our young men. So guys and girls just learn differently, and we certainly learn better hands-on. Another question coming in: do you have any duties on campus, like kitchen duty or laundry duty? No, you do not have kitchen or laundry duty, but you may have duties depending on your rank. So Justin, why don't you tell them, say what would some duties be of different ranks in the barracks?
Well, you actually have it's kind of organized in it's like half and half, okay? And then they'll have 4 squads, and every squad will have like a fallout, as we call it. It's either they clean the hallway, clean the bathroom, clean like the windows by the entryways. But then if you're a higher ranking personnel, well, you'll make sure all those jobs get done correctly, and then other people will check on top of you, and then it just falls down that way. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it just depends on your rank in the barracks. Justin's going to have a lot of responsibilities this year, being battalion commander. So he'll be able to give you a lot more detail on everybody's duties a couple of weeks into the school year. People want to know, can they start sending mail right away? Absolutely. Students are allowed to mail it out as well as receive mail. So, moms and dads, you may want to, write a letter to leave them as you leave. You can start, sending them day one mail. So always keep that, and care packages coming. Care packages are kind of important. Guys like getting mail. They like getting surprises from home. So yeah, keep those things going. And somebody want to know, can you bring a TV? We talked about that a little earlier. You can bring a TV. You'll not have cable, but you can bring the digital, pick up some digital channels, the networks, that type thing. But that's about it. And then another question, medication. What happens if you get sick? So we have nurses here on campus, and those nurses will take care of any meds. So if your student takes meds now, they'll work with you on getting, refills and that type thing. But we'll also have the nurses go to the barracks first thing in the morning, last thing at night. So if any meds are needed, they're able to dispense those. So you'll become very close with our infirmary. If a student becomes sick, you'll go to the nurse. If she deems that it's necessary, you go to the doctor. We have a contract here in town with a physician. You'll go in with them. And then, of course, we'll get all the prescriptions filled that may be needed. Orthodontist, things like that. We want you to try to get at home on a break. But we do have, one locally that handles emergencies and things of that nature. Again, hashtag CMA Future. We've got a lot of questions coming in. So if you want to send yours, go right now, hashtag CMA Future, any social media platform. We're looking at them all. When does CAP meet? Are any of you guys on CAP? I don't think so. Civil Air Patrol. Okay.
I think it'll become one this year, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Civil Air Patrol is pretty cool. It's a group that we have here on campus. We were fortunate this summer to have hosted a CAP flight school. So we had like 35, 40 young men and ladies on our campus taking flight school because we're right next door to the Camden airport. So they were able to actually learn to fly. Of course, being in the CAP, you can start that as early as age 12. I think all these guys will agree we have a pretty active squadron. They go and do a lot of pretty cool stuff. They take ladder flights and things that I wouldn't want to do. I'm a white knuckle flyer anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, they'll keep you busy, and that's one of those clubs that I would encourage you to get involved in. And we have a good scouting program as well. So if you are working on your Eagle Scout or want to, come on, we can take care of that. Another question came in that says, do middle schoolers get to attend varsity games? Absolutely. So now one unique thing about Camden is we're right next door to the airport, like I mentioned, so we do not have lights on our football field. So a lot of our games will be played on Saturdays, so Saturday during the day. But yeah, we actually have a march on. If you've ever watched like the Army-Navy game on TV, or maybe even just a regular college football game, you may see how the band forms the tunnel for the team to run through. the cadet corps that's not playing football, they form a tunnel for the football team to run through. We have a Blue Man crew. We got some students that paint up. We have flags, so we have some fun with the football program. So yeah, but absolutely, middle schoolers can go. When do parents get to go home after drop off? I think we hit that one earlier, but I'll talk about that briefly again. Just if you drop your son off, you'll go through the registration process, go to the barracks, meet the TAC officer, and then it's going to you're going to be encouraged to have a quick separation, just because it helps with home sicknesses and makes it easier both on the boys and the parents. Question coming in about blankets, extra blankets. Yes, you can bring extra blankets. Keep in mind, you are in South Carolina, so you're going to be warm pretty much most of the year. Our coldest months are January and February. So, you can take clothes home and switch out seasonally, so you don't need to bring big, long, heavy-duty winter clothes, in August. It's going to stay pretty warm here until October-ish. We always have that Indian summer where it comes back and we have some really warm days in October. So definitely pay attention to the weather. What time do you wake up on the weekends? All right, let's go to Hayes on this. What time do you typically get to wake up on the weekends? And what's that one thing that we have about once a month?
So once a month, we do have Saturday classes, which is basically, it's really easy. You have all 6 classes before lunch, and each class is 30 minutes. It's basically just a way to get us out of school earlier. But typically on a normal Saturday, we will wake up at 10 o'clock. It just depends on each company. I know band and staff usually wakes up at 10 o'clock. And then Sunday, you'll wake up at around 9, and then you'll get ready for church, which is at 9:45.
Correct. Good. All right. I had somebody else ask about visiting. If they haven't seen the campus yet, but they've been accepted, we'll have a number of students that are in that situation. So on Saturday during registration, we'll have time set aside. I don't have those times yet, but we have time set throughout the day, which will be in one of those emails that you'll be getting from me, where we'll be having campus tours, and they'll be student-led, where they'll walk around and show you the different buildings, explain everything to you. So just know that you will get to see the campus on Saturday prior to registration. We had someone say their last name began with Z, and what time should they arrive? We don't care what time you arrive, really. In our handbook, we tell you go by your last name, but as long as you get here between 9:30 and 4 p.m., come on in. We'll take you whenever you get here. Another question coming in, can everyone go home on fall break, or is it based on academics? All right, so fall break used to be required for everyone to go home. I think maybe last year or year before was the first year that it became optional. And that's just because we were, back in the olden days, a more regional based school. But now, since we have kids from all over the world, we have international students as well as kids from all over the states, now it's optional. So if you want your son to come home, you can certainly send him a plane ticket, but that can get expensive. So that's why we have that as an optional break. And that is the same for our presidential furlough, which is in February over President's Weekend. How many international students do we have? Last year we had about 16. Now the visa process has become a little more difficult for students wanting to come into the States to study abroad. So this year I think we're going to have probably single digits, maybe hit 10, but probably we'll stay in single digits this year. But we have students coming from Mali, China, Mexico, I think Brazil, and I swear there's another one, but I can't remember, Germany. So we're going to have a pretty good diverse population here as far as the international students. Question coming in about spending money and allowances. So let's see, that's important, right? So we'll throw that one out to Lucas. Tell me about allowance. How much do you get? When do you get it? That type of thing.
Well, you can get your allowance. You get your allowance every Wednesday, and it's really hectic at that time because everybody's trying to get their money and stuff. But you can rather get $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, or $30. It goes all the way up to $30. But yeah, you get it every Wednesday. You can rather go to the Carlisle House and spend it. I think that's really it. I save up my money sometimes. I save up my money and then spend it on furloughs, but that's what I do.
Yeah, so parents are required to give you an allowance once a week, like you said, but If you don't want to take it, you turn it back in, and then we can give it to you, as a break comes up or furlough comes up, just so you'll have a little cash with you. Question coming in: do boys keep the foot lockers with them? Yes. So Justin, tell the viewers what happens with the foot locker. Where's it stored and what goes inside?
Well, depending on where what barracks you are in, it gets stored different places, but they can either be stored under your bed, under your desk, or beside of your press, which is just pretty much just a fancy word for closet. And you keep all kinds of different stuff in there. You keep towels, white t-shirts, black socks, white socks, underwear, washcloths. Let's see what else. All your bed stuff. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so it's just kind of for the extra stuff. Your uniforms will be kept in the press in the rooms, but don't panic. We'll be going over all that with you. And if you are a student watching and you want to look at our Cadet Blue Book, we have last year's version posted online right now. So you can go to camdenmilitary.com, go down to the very bottom in the site map, look for student parent resources, click that, and you'll see Cadet Blue Book is one of the first options. And you can read through and see kind of, the standard way that your room should be set up once you arrive. Probably start wrapping things up. This is the longest YouTube live we've had. So I'm pretty impressed that we've had so many questions coming in. So guys, thanks for hanging with me and your patience. But the last question I kind of want to ask you, each one of you, I want you to answer this, is tell me one big change that you've seen in yourself. Look at yourself before Camden, look at yourself now, and do you have any regrets about attending? So Justin, let's start with you.
Personally, the biggest change that I've seen is probably either discipline, attitude towards pretty much like everybody. I used to hate everybody, to be honest, but and honestly, I have no regrets. I was actually not going to come back my junior year just because I wanted to get more football offers, but then I was thinking to myself, like, why does that matter? Why would you mess up something that's already working good for you? So.
There you go. All right, Hayes, how about you?
I have no regrets. I came in to Camden just confused on where I was going to go, and now I'm pretty sure I'm pretty set. I'm working towards a scholarship to USC for soccer. I have way more just self-respect for myself. Self-discipline, respect for other people, because I never showed respect. But I really learned that you have to show respect to earn respect, and that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned at Camden.
Good. And Barry, last but not least.
Yeah, kind of going off of what Aiden said, I have more respect for authority because before I came here, I really do have no regrets, I admit, because before I came here, I was doing a bunch of bad things, going in the wrong direction, hanging out with the wrong crowd. And my mom and dad really changed my life by sending me here. And I really am thankful for them sending me here because if I wouldn't have got sent here, I'd probably be on the streets right now. But yeah, I've learned more respect for myself, for authorities, and for upperclassmen or people above me or have bigger power than me. I respect them. And also my manners have changed a lot.
All right. Good answer. Good answer. All right, guys. Well, I think we'll wrap that up. We'll end on that. And I want to thank these guys for taking time out of their summer to help me out. So I guess I owe you a meal when you get here, right? We'll go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
sir.
All right.
Sir.
All right. And viewers, thank you for joining us tonight. If you have any additional questions, you can continue to post them on social media. We'll get to many of those as we can. Also, email me at admissions@camdenmilitary.com. Again, that's admissions@camdenmilitary.com. And be on the lookout for emails from me if you are an enrolled student, because you will be getting several between now and next weekend. Hope I don't get on your nerves, but it's a lot of good information that you need. All right. Once again, thanks for joining us from Camden Military Academy. Have a good night.